to tell you about my strange day and how it changed my life and how I thought about things. It was a nice day, ordinary, spring, gorgeous, my favourite time of the year. I left my house, yes, the house I've lived in all my life. I live alone now, since my mum died. I own the house completely. I know, crazy, isn't it? At 25, I own a house. Well, partly with my brother, but he chooses to live with his girlfriend. He doesn't mind helping with the bills, and I'm really grateful for that. He has a great job and, well, he can afford it. Anyway, I got dressed, headed out. Ah, the air. It was beautiful. Birds singing, sun shining, but not too hot. Trees rustling, only slightly. Everything sounded perfect. Familiar noises, people talking, car horns. Yes, I was close to town, but I didn't mind the hustle and bustle. It was familiar and comforting. Yes, the shops, some of them had changed hands and businesses had gone bust here and there. But on the main, it stayed the same. There were a few that never changed, like the bakery and the coffee shop, and the florist. My favourite place to go. When I could afford it, I bought myself flowers. Well, who else is going to? It was one of my favourite places. I guess because, well, my mum loved it too. Loved flowers. She had fresh flowers every week. Well, my dad bought them. And that's probably why I buy them today. Well, I stopped by the florist, took in that heady scent, ran my fingers over soft petals, looked at the colours, I drank it in, and I noticed the man next to me. I noticed his hand as it reached for some flowers, some red roses. They were well manicured, and he wore a simple silver wedding band. His hands were slightly tanned. Or something, I don't know. I had to take a double take. I'd seen those hands before. I know it sounds ridiculous. I imagined my small hand in his. My mind took me right back to when I was 10, and when I was at this very florist with my mum. We were choosing yellow flowers for Easter. Mum went all out on every holiday. Easter was especially lovely. Coloured eggs, flowers everywhere. Egg hunts, you name it. It was perfect. We have a really nice garden and, I just loved Easter. Anyway, I remember that day in the florist. Mum was really embarrassed because I suddenly just put my hand in this man's hand and just started talking to him like it was, well, really natural, like I knew him and like he was part of the family. I chatted away and Mum got embarrassed and tried to pull me away. The man was really nice and smiled down at me. That handsome face. I don't know what I was talking about to him, but he knelt down and seemed happy to see me. After a while, my mum ushered me away. I waved goodbye to him. He smiled. I watched him walk away. I felt some kind of loss, and that's silly. Anyway, back to the present day. And I'm sure it was him. He looked exactly the same. Not aged a bit. In his late 30s, I'd say. Of course, I wasn't just going to blurt out, "Are you the man? Do you remember a small girl?" That would sound ridiculous. I just watched him, watched him buy his roses, and he walked away. And I knew I couldn't let him walk away. I followed him. I know, I shouldn't have done. How weird. And maybe I was nuts. But I don't know if you had that feeling. You know someone, or you should know them. I don't know. I was just compelled in some way. I just wanted to know, well, more about him. I know, it sounds like a stalker, but anyway, his coattails, they flapped as he walked briskly, clutching those red roses. I followed him round corners, across streets, even through the park. He didn't stop. Oh, the park was lovely. I really wanted to stop. Every now and again, I nearly caught myself shouting after him. I had to bite my lip. Eventually, we came onto a quiet street, not too many blocks from my own home. I saw him putting his hands in his pocket and bringing out his keys as he walked up the steps to a really nice 3-story house. As he opened the door, a Labrador jumped out at him. He knelt down and gave it some love, giving him scrubs behind the ears. And then he went in and closed the door. I stood for a while, just looking at the house. It was really nice. Everything perfect. Lovely window boxes. A huge front door. Definitely had some money. Yes, I couldn't help myself. I crept closer and stood behind a bush. I know, I shouldn't have done. If anyone had seen me, well, loopy girl. I peered through the window. There was a big window, and I could hear dog barking and voices. A woman, definitely a woman, and maybe a child. I crept ever closer. I know, no shame. But what I saw through that window sent shivers through my spine. There was the man, that lovely man, and a woman, around 30, 35. She looked really familiar, and at first I couldn't place it. For a moment I thought it was my mum. I thought, wow, that looks like my mum, and my heart jumped. A pang of sadness ripped through my heart. Then the voice. Her voice was so familiar, and then I knew it. It was me. I held my breath and tried to think of what the hell was going on. No, she just looked like me. Her hair was in a style that was, well, I guess, older than I would wear it. But the voice, it was my voice. With everything in me, I knew that was me. Eventually, I left and went home. The next day, I couldn't help myself. I went back to the street. Yes, I remembered where it was. All the twists and turns of streets, my heart pounding. As I arrived at the house, but it was boarded up and for sale. Looked like it hadn't been lived in for a long time. I saw a neighbour. I ran and asked about the house. Oh yes, that's been for sale for some years. Lovely couple used to live there. I think they both died eventually, and their daughter had moved away. Oh, I said, what were their names? She told me the name of the man. I didn't know that. Then she said my name as the woman. I stood open-mouthed for a while. She said, "Are you okay, dear?" I nodded and turned on my heels and made my way back out. Through the familiar streets and past the florist. I must have been in a daze because I bumped into somebody. Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I wasn't looking where I'm going. And then my breath caught, because it was you. The man. Younger, about 25. No wedding ring, but I know it was you. You smiled that smile. I was lost.